Oh, hey, I'm glad you're here. Have you ever noticed that some genres really get it when it comes to the simplicity of a title? For action, for instance, Predator, American Ninja, Commando. Horror, you have The Thing, The Happening, The Stuff. And yet giallos are like pleather peacocks bathed in alabaster white at noon. I mean, I'd watch it, but it's very complicated. This episode, Sarah mentions her Kitsch. It's a new cooking platform like Twitch. We've mentioned it before. You can join her on there and interact live. Her code is SAR201. I don't know if it's cap sensitive. I don't think so. But SAR201. The platform's free. Next one that she's doing is Thursday at noon Pacific Standard Time. And you don't have to interact live. You can just watch her videos and all the other chefs on there too. But I hope you'll join. It's very fun. And I'd love some crossover podcast buddies on there. Also, we didn't mention it, but on our LA trip, we went to Black Rabbit Rose, which is a speakeasy and magic show. We had an excellent time there, and if you're in or around LA, I suggest you check it out. What they're doing there is very fun. We saw Arthur Trace perform. He was incredible, and possibly a future guest right on this podcast. You'll hear some name dropping in this episode, and I'm not doing it to brag on social interactions. I merely want to shout out these super talented and wonderful people. It was such a special evening, and the fact that they were all there to just bask in the love of my good buddy just warms my heart to no end. Anyway, I hope you enjoy our little Hangout episode. So here it is, Sarah Marshall and I hanging out on VH Us. Hello and welcome to VHS. I'm your host Dirk Marshall and I'm joined by my co-host Sarah Marshall. Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to do a little catch-up episode for everybody and of course talk about a few recent watches. First of all though, Sarah, how are you?
I'm doing good. This is busy time for me, so I think I've made a few thousand bottles of sauce. My hands hurt. That's real life. That's how I'm doing.
Yeah, lots of work, lots of work.
Yeah. But it's good. I mean, I can't ever complain about being busy.
Yeah, many people don't understand this, but holiday stuff really starts for businesses months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Well, it's crazy for us. I mean, if you lived in this world for a while and worked in it, it's just the way it is. But I always kind of get excited for this time because it means that we always start everything early because we're getting ready for holidays early. So we start celebrating Halloween, fall earlier. Everybody else is finishing summer and we're like, nope, we're ready to move into this. And then we usually do holiday stuff a little earlier because we're so busy during those weeks. We like to get everything done. And so it's always exciting and fun. We find really fun things for our family to do. And yeah, so we're like in it. We are in Halloween already.
We are. Through with the summer. I'm going to put on a hoodie. I'm ready for fall.
Yes.
Well, I am so happy right now, and my heart is bloated with love. Gross. But before we get to that, could you please fill us in on what you have going on with Kitsch right now?
Oh, yeah. So I have been cooking on Kitsch every week. I think we mentioned it before, but it's really fun. It's been fun for me to experiment with as a new platform. So if people want to watch me on there, you just sign up for Kitsch. It's really easy. It's free. You go on and they'll ask you if you have a sign up code. So if you want to enter my sign up code, you can do that. You can do it through our link tree. But you can just join me live while I cook, and it's really great. I cooked with my friend Holly Ong. She's another business owner. She has Sebejo sauces, and we got to talk live and chat while people watched about her being from Singapore, and she's getting ready to go to Singapore on this trip, and she's going to eat all this awesome food. So we were wanting to introduce her to new people, and then people can follow along on her journey to Singapore, which is really cool. So it's been fun to enter this new age of cooking live in front of people. I'm really digging it. It's fun. The platform's still in beta test, so it's a good time for people to join and give them any feedback. And you get to hang out with lots of cool chefs
Yeah.
and food makers, and you can just pop on the screen and ask them whatever you want. And I mean, I love that kind of thing where it kind of removes that curtain and you get to interact with someone that maybe you would only have seen on
Yeah.
TV or maybe would never meet at all. And you can just, it's like you're playing a video game with them. You can just pop on and be like, oh, hey, what are you doing here? What's this? And it's just a really fun experience for me.
Yeah, it's so great to be able to watch and participate in the cooking because normally you're watching someone cook something and they're like, and then you just use this black lemon or something, and
Yeah.
you're like, what the hell is that? Where
Yeah.
did you get that? And you could just actually ask the person, they could tell you about it. It's pretty awesome.
You know, as a recipe writer and as an instructor, I always try to think of what people will ask so that they don't have to ask questions because I know sometimes people don't like to do that. But you can never come up with all of the questions that people have. And so even when you're writing something, you try to write in what that mysterious item is that maybe people won't know. People will have a completely different question that I would have never thought of, but it's fun to see what they come up with and then answer their questions and talk with them. It's really cool.
Unlike probably most Americans, we don't own a microwave. And,
Yeah.
a lot of times you'll be like, yeah, so you just bake this for 8 minutes. And someone will be like, what's that in microwave terms? And you're just like, oh, first of all, don't guess on that kind of thing. It's just like you can interact and sort of field those questions as is and be like, you know what, this time maybe use the oven. I'm just saying. Doesn't have to be microwave pork.
Yeah, I mean, I always try to write recipes where people don't have to use any kind of gadget because a lot of people don't have them. I do everything as just like having an oven and a burner, and that's it. Like, I try to not involve anything else. But it gets tricky because there's also a lot of gadgets out there that people have. Like, whatever's new, people will be like, well, how long do I do it in the Instapot? Or how long do I do it in the air fryer? I'm like, I'm just going to take you back to the basics.
Yeah. It's true. That's good. Well, let's talk something very fun because we just returned from Los Angeles, California.
We did.
Our daughter stayed with the grandparents, both sets. She had a great time, and we went to LA.
Yeah, first long solo vacation, since we've had a child. So it was amazing.
Yeah.
There was many things being celebrated. So we were going and it happened to be our 18-year wedding anniversary.
That's correct.
And we were going to LA to a friend's wedding.
That's right.
Getting married on our anniversary. So it was just a very special trip and a very special time. And it was great. It was the best.
Yeah. I was so excited because we were going to go out to dinner, which we usually do for an anniversary, and it's lovely. But in a different town, that's all new options. Normally it's like, which chef buddy do we want to go see? And this was like finding something new to do. And then it was my friend Ian's wedding, and I've just been so excited since we received the invitation. We got to save the date, and I was texting him to be like, I'm probably not invited, but and he's like, oh, that's just to save the date. The invite comes later. And I was like, I mean, you don't have to. I don't
Did you think he was sending you a save the date just to be like, hey, this is when we're getting married, but you don't get to come?
I don't know how it works.
That's not how it works.
Well, I don't field a lot of wedding mail. I don't know.
The save the date is to be like, don't plan anything for this day because you're coming to our wedding.
Right. I get it. But at the time, I just, I was just so excited when we got the invites, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've known Ian for a very long time, since he was like fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
And he's just one of my favorite people on the planet, and I've watched him meet his fiance, now wife, and she loves him, and so I love her, and it's just been so just heartwarming to see their romance. There's even an article written about them because their first date they went on was after they had lived together, but their first official date was because of the whole pandemic and everything, and you can find an article about that online. Ian Carmel and Dana Schwartz.
Well, and Ian was on your show, so people can listen to that episode that he was on if they want to know more about Ian.
Yeah, I had him on for the Punchline episode. which was great. Frustrating because there's a format to the show, and I could really talk to him for hours and hours and hours, and it was hard to like talk about this Tom Hanks movie when I just wanted to hang out with my
You
friend.
want to just chat with your bud?
That's all I wanted to do. But still, I mean, we went to the hotel, and I hear Dirk, and I turn around, and it's his mother Sue, and Sue just are big fans of each other and her son. So we have a great time whenever we see each other, and that just warms my heart and reminds me of doing improv with him. And it was always special to me when I made a laugh happen and heard Sue's laugh in the cacophony of people having a good time. It was just a wonderful thing. And then we go to the wedding, and I thought it was like, it's a big LA thing. You know, he works in television. I thought it was going to be thousands of people, and, you know, we're just kind of like in the back and don't really know anybody. But it was a very intimate affair, and it was just gorgeous. Like, I can't imagine a more beautiful wedding. I don't think there is one.
No. Well, people keep asking, how was the wedding? And my only answer is the best. It was the best wedding I've ever been to. Everything was so perfect. Their vows were beautiful.
Oh my gosh, the vows.
The rabbi who married them was wonderful.
The best.
And everything was perfectly spoken and worded and so heartfelt, and I cried so hard, and then afterwards I laughed so hard, and we danced forever. I mean, it was just like everything was experienced there. And even, you know, sometimes you go to a wedding and maybe, I don't know, I guess I've been to a lot of weddings where I didn't really know the people, or nobody really wanted to talk to me because I'm like the weird one or something. But that was definitely not what was happening there. We got seated at the table with really wonderful people that we didn't know, but we made friends with immediately.
Megan Gailey and CJ.
And it was just really nice. I think the whole thing was so great. And it was, of course, the first wedding we've been to since the pandemic. And so it was nice to have this smaller affair and have so much fun. And we danced all night. But it's also different going to a wedding as a parent with your child. So the last few weddings we've been to, that is the kind of wedding guest we were. We would come to the wedding. Our daughter was in the wedding as flower girl. Like, you know, you navigate your child through it.
You chase them around a lot.
You chase them around. You dance with them on the dance floor a couple of times. You make sure they get cake. You go home, and the wedding still parties, right?
You agree with drunk people that your child is cute, even though you're stressed about what's happening at the moment?
Yeah, you're like, please don't go break the champagne display over there, or whatever it is. Please don't pull the tablecloths off the table. Yeah, so that's how I've attended my last few weddings. But then this one, we were solo. There were no kids at the wedding, which has kind of been a common way to invite people to weddings right now. And I have to say that I appreciate it because I'm such a better wedding guest when I can just be emotional. You know, sometimes if you go as a parent, if your kid sees you cry and they're at a certain age, they're confused. And so then they're, you know, our daughter especially is so worried.
Oh,
like
if
if I'm like,
hugs you,
and it's, she squeezes me, she makes things even more intense. And I'm like, oh no, I just want to like feel my feelings, you know, but you can't really do that all the way in that situation. But here I was like crying so hard, I snorted, like it was just like, I could really feel it all. And then we danced all night long, like, and I would have not done that if we had gone with Adeline. It was a riot. I had a great time.
Yeah, and the rabbi did this amazing thing where they had a bunch of Hebrew in the wedding, and the way that he sort of brought everybody in, if you don't speak that language or anything, it was just a beautiful way. I felt so included in this thing, and he encouraged people to just be present. So I put my phone away. I didn't even take a picture of Dana and Ian because I was just like, this is your night. Like, you do your thing. I know people will take pictures.
I mean, they hired photographers to take beautiful photos of them. Like, we don't need to do it with our dirty iPhones that I dropped in like a pile of goo. You know, it's just like, you can let them do it. But the rabbi was also wonderful because at the very beginning, he just said, you're not going to understand what I'm saying in Hebrew, of course, but your job as a guest of this wedding is to bring the bride and groom joy. And so that took a lot of seriousness out of it, because sometimes it can feel, you know, if you're at a Jewish wedding and you don't understand Hebrew, or you haven't been to one before, you don't understand the traditions, it can be a little bit serious. It's like being in church, you know, I have to be,
well, I don't want to do anything offensive.
I'm not allowed to, I'm not allowed to laugh or smile because please, this is like a serious thing. So right away, he sort of took that off the table and was like, Dana and Ian say that you guys are a rowdy bunch and you're going to laugh and cheer and have fun. And we are cool with that. And your only job is to bring them joy. And so immediately we were just like, whew, okay. That was great. It was a wonderful way to bring us into the wedding.
It was very fun. It was fun to see all these people and just such a great evening. I just have been high on it ever since. It was so fun. One of my favorite things that happened at the very beginning was we're standing and seeing people come in and everything, you know, and like James Corden and people, and I see Dan Soder and Katie Nolan come in, and they're kind of standing by a pillar, and I know who they are. They don't know me, so I was like, I'm not going to go bother them, but I appreciate both of them, both from Katie's been on Ian's podcast and Dan's a stand-up, but then we go and sit down, and then this gentleman comes over and bends over, puts his face right by ours to be like, hey, do you know if there's a groom side and a bride side? And it's Dan Soder. So then I was just like, well, now I have to acknowledge who this person is because he's right here, which caught him off guard. But they were lovely people. They sat behind us in the wedding so we could hear laughter and tears. And it was just so fun to experience this wedding with so many wonderful people. Kyle Kinane, and it was such a great evening. So if I sound too happy in this episode, I apologize, but I'm just bloated with love. It's coming out my pores. I'm oozing.
Why are you making it so gross, man?
I don't know. I'm bad at it. Bad at it.
Just like feel the joy. Be chill.
Okay, well, moving on, but still in LA. I just briefly wanted to talk about, because we have some listeners in LA that I don't think are aware of some of the magic of Koreatown. So I just wanted to say that we went to a dinner the first night that we were there at Kin. Chef Kim there is the owner and chef. And we had an amazing dinner.
Yeah, it was really great. I have stayed in LA a few times, all different areas of LA, but I had never stayed in Koreatown, and we stayed there because it was the closest to the wedding. And so it ended up being really great. And I kind of recommend this for travel sometimes. If you can just go to one new neighborhood and just kind of stick in that zone, if you have the opportunity to do that, because I think that sometimes we get focused on seeing everything and going all around. And this trip we were able to be like, let's just stay in Koreatown. Let's eat lots of great Korean food. Let's explore new places that we haven't been to. And it was very hot there.
It was like 110 degrees.
Like too hot.
It was way too hot.
Too hot for us Oregonians. We have never even been in heat like that. It just does not happen here.
No.
We don't do that here in Oregon. We don't get that hot. So it was very hot. So we needed to seek refuge and air conditioning.
Yeah.
So we found a Korean mall, Korean Plaza, it's called.
Yes,
There's
the plaza.
Korean Plaza, Koreatown Plaza.
Not the
and
Galleria.
Koreatown Galleria is the other one, but that one didn't have air conditioning. So we much
Plaza.
preferred the Koreatown Plaza. And I had read about it in the LA Eater that they had this great food court. And so I was like, let's just go check it out. We can be chill and cool. We can walk around this Korean mall. And so we had tons of fun walking around the mall. There's cool stores. And then the food court was one of the best that I have ever seen. There's all these different Korean stands. And my favorite, of course, was the one with the
Pao
Yeah, Korean dumplings being handmade by
Holy
Korean
smokes.
grandmas. Like, so wonderful and so good that we went back twice because I had to have it again.
The pan-fried dumplings.
Yeah, so good.
And they also have the steam ones, and it's right next to a stand that does the Korean corn dogs, where they're covered with cheese or potato on the outside, with sausage or whatever. It's every single stand had like specialties, and it was all good.
I would say more than a food court, it seems like a food hall where it's like,
That's fair, yeah.
There's some cohesiveness to what the stands
They're
look
not
like.
chains, though.
They're
That's
not
a good
chains.
point. Yeah.
They're all just people making really good Korean food. So it was fun. I would recommend anybody that's in LA go check out Koreatown and definitely, Kin I would recommend, and then the food court.
Yeah. Well, the first time we went, it was just the two of us. And the next time we went, we were joined by Sarah Burns and her family.
Oh, yep. So Sarah was a past guest of yours and has become our pal, but we had never met in person.
That's
We'd
right.
only talked on the phones.
You'll
and
know
on
her
the
from
tweets.
the podcast, from the Tall Guy episode, which was the first time we chatted, and then recently, Mulholland Drive.
Yes. So fun.
So we knew we were kindred spirits, but we'd never met in person, so she and her fam joined us in the Koreatown Mall food court, and then we took a stroll through the mall, which was very fun.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do in LA on 100? That day it was 112 degrees. What
Yeah.
else are you going to do?
I think we made the smartest move, I think. But
It's too hot for anything else.
yeah, but anyway, shout out to Sarah Burns and her lovely fam. It was
Yeah,
great to get to
thanks for
meet
meeting
them.
us. It was super fun, Sarah.
Very fun. Although I will say, though we've listed off talking to an actress, going to see a stand-up comedian get married with James Corden in the room, the most LA thing I think that happened was when we were just walking the streets and saw Kat Von D and Raphael outside of a Korean restaurant. They were just waiting to get in, and we were just like walk right past them, like, oh, there's Kat Von D right there.
Which is probably like the only celebrity I would recognize. I'm not a celebrity spotter. I don't really like.
What if
see
Alf was
people and
standing
I'm like,
outside of the?
that's not a person.
Oh, you're right.
Puppet.
Yeah, he wouldn't be out there.
So I don't know if he counts.
Let me think of another celebrity. That's all I got, just Alf.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know Kat. I mean, she's
You have her makeup.
easily recognizable, and there she was.
Yeah. I just looked over. I was like, "There's Kat Von D," and you're like, "Yep." And then we just kept walking. We didn't bother them, but that was fun. It was a great trip. Again, too hot, very fun.
Yeah.
Bloated with love. Moving on. You also went to see 9 Inch Nails.
I sure did. How fun, right?
The next day after we got back, you went to the
Mhm.
Edgefield, which is an outdoor venue here in Oregon, and saw 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah. So, JL, your podcast bud,
Yeah.
and sometimes editor of the show. Is that what we call it? Director, producer.
He's like a producer editor for special episodes. Yes.
Well, he's also your concert going buddy. So, you guys usually go to concerts together, and he will buy tickets and be like, "Hey, Dirk, we're going to this show," and you're like, "Cool."
Yeah, he'll surprise me. He's a great guy.
Yeah, yeah. And so I usually am not involved in that process at all, and don't go to the shows. And this time, he couldn't go. Gave you the tickets. You and I were gonna go. You were riding high on your LA experience,
So high.
and you just didn't want to be out in the heat again. It was hot in Portland. It wasn't quite LA hot, but it was still very hot, and it was an outdoor venue, which isn't really your jam, which I understand.
Yeah.
And so you were like, "Do you care if I don't go?" And I, of course, don't. But then you were like, "Take your best buddy, Erin Parker."
That's correct.
Which she also was a past guest in the show.
That's right.
So.
She's on the Deceiver episode.
Yes. And so Erin was game to go for
Hell
sure.
yeah.
She had tried to get tickets and they were sold out. And so she met me there. We had a great time. Highly recommend it. I loved the set list. I didn't know all the songs. I haven't listened to 9 Inch Nails since 1990 something.
8.
Okay.
Honestly, probably 6. But yeah.
I don't know the year to be exact, but I was very into it. Trent Reznor is a great performer.
Yeah, still got it.
He's still got it, and he has become this sweet man, which was interesting to see because he asked everybody to be chill and cool and love each other, and I was into it. I loved it. I screamed, I yelled, I danced. It was cool to be at this outside venue at night with all the lights and the fog, and it was I had a great time. It was very fun. I'd never been to a show at McMiniman's Edgefield.
Yeah.
It's in Troutdale.
Weird.
Yeah. So it was so fun. So thank you, JL, for the tickets. Erin and I had a blast. I partied with my friend, and it was promptly over at 9:45.
So weird. Another thing that's weird and fun is we went to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
We went to our first Comic-Con. This is our daughter's second con. JL took her and I to the Independent Comic Con, which is just like a room with just some tables and the authors there, which is cool, about her speed for when she was that age. But she'd seen the YouTubers. She was ready to go to Comic-Con. Yeah,
and I get this event notification of what's going on in Portland. It had come up, and I had thought about Adeline. And when we had one of our episodes with Carmelita where we were talking about The Crow, and I was talking about this time in my life, and that, I like to enjoy that my daughter, she's interested in the things that I am interested in. She wants to wear all black clothes and have me paint her nails and is interested in what kind of music I like and what kind of stuff. And I can just see her really getting into the costumes because she likes to wear ears and capes and she just like she's getting into that world where I can see that becoming like her deal is something like Comic-Con. So I saw a notification come up. I'm like, hey, let's just go as a family. Let's check it out. And she loved it. I mean, she loved it so much.
Yeah.
And the Portland one has a special section that's for kids. So she got to rock climb. They had all these cool things you could take your picture with. They had a lot of stuff that was focused for a little bit younger kids, which I guess they don't do that at all the Comic-Cons. But this one they did. Do you want to hear my highlights?
Please. That's all I want right now is highlights. No lowlights, all highs.
One of my highlights was just seeing Adeline just fawn over the beautiful women who are dressed, to the T in these costumes that they've made. And we like chatted about all the different unique costumes and how they make your costumes. And then she got really into that. So I loved that. And that she would just go up to people and ask to have her picture taken. I always love, we've tried to raise this like independent, strong-willed child. And that is definitely proof that we have. The pandemic kind of put a little wrench in things where like she needed me a lot more than she previously did because I became her anchor. So it's cool when I see her do things like that where I'm like, oh, she's so rad. Like she can just walk up to someone and be like, can I get my picture taken with you, and then do it. She's not like a shy gal. She's like, nope, I like her outfit. I want to go have a picture of me next to her, So I really liked seeing that kind of confidence in her. I love supporting women-owned businesses. So whether that is an artist, a author, a maker, whoever, I think that the Comic-Con is a great opportunity to be around those types of people. So there were lots of makers that do whatever it is, pottery, art, writing. So I found a new book series and I wanted to tell people about it. So it is The Shapeshifter Chronicles by Lauren Jankowski. And the thing that brought me over to her stand, I hadn't heard of this series, but the sign said something like badass women shapeshifters.
Something like that.
Cool. I'm down. I will start with book 1. So I have book 1. I am going to read it with Erin Parker. We like to have a little book club from time to time. So I will keep people posted on that. But it's cool to be able to meet the author and just be like, hey, you wrote this book? And they're like, yeah. I think I might have been the first, because we got there early. We got there right when the show started. I might have been the first person to buy a book from her. So I'm like, sign it for me.
Yeah.
It's just like fun to be part of that person's experience. I'm getting joy from it, but also bringing them joy and being excited for what they do. I mean, she wrote 6 books. That's a huge accomplishment in itself.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always mean that these people have done a lot of shows or been in front of people before. So I was super excited about that. That was really fun. And then we ran into Chelsea Kane.
That's right. Who you'll know from our episode of Copycat.
Yes, and if people listen to that episode, they'll know what a big fan I am of Chelsea Kane.
Correct.
She's my favorite author, but I hadn't ever seen her in real life until we did the show, and we were still recording, so that wasn't actually in person. So this was the first time I had seen her in real life at Comic-Con, which I think is a cool thing that you can go see your favorite author. So she had her book series there, but she was really there to promote the comic that she did that our daughter got. Man-Eaters.
Man-Eaters.
The name of the comic.
She got volume 1.
Yes. So Chelsea was giving away volume 1 for free to get people hooked because they have many volumes. And it worked. Our daughter was very interested in it.
What's it about?
It's about girls who are starting to go through puberty and they turn into werewolves.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's a perfect time for Adeline because she's like interested in these things. She wants to ask a lot of questions. So it creates good dialogue between me and her. And so I recommend it for parents with young children. I think it's great. We have just read the first issue, but we are ordering the rest.
Yeah.
At Adeline's demand. She's very interested in getting it.
They were also giving away feminine hygiene products.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so cool because, like you said, it reminded, we both used to work in the Women's Resource Center in college, so.
Yeah, where we would do events, any kind of event we would go to, and we would hand out tampons and condoms to
Mm-hmm.
people and have conversations about,
I don't remember pads, but they had pads as well.
Yeah, I don't think so. I
Just
think they're
tampons.
yeah. Because a lot of times they won't have them in bathrooms on
Right.
college campuses. There's no resource for that. So we were the resource.
That's right. Love that. Love seeing that. A couple of things you made me think of. One, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about punk and what punk fashion came from. And this kind of ties back into when we were talking about goth stuff. There was you know, before people would just buy an outfit that's a thing sold in a store, you really cobble together your own outfits and your own aesthetics. And there's kind of a punk vibe to Comic-Con of people making their own. I just put that together in my head, but it's something that I think I connect to, is that this person spent so much time to come up with this very specific look. And oftentimes it's inspired by an anime or a manga or whatever. And then they walk through and other people just stop them and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so-and-so. And then they get excited and they get their picture taken. And so even if it's not something that was involving me, it just warmed my heart to see it.
Yeah.
And just be like, I love this environment that people can just freely express themselves and just be accepted.
Yeah, it's so great. It's good that I think I've talked about it before, but I think sometimes with Halloween, it's like a way when people dress up, it's a way to kind of figure out who it is that you want to be, especially when you're a young child. It's like practicing different styles that you want to have. And I think Comic-Con sometimes can be like that as well, where it's like you see a lot of young people spending a lot of time on their outfits. And it was interesting. The next day after we went to Comic-Con, I had a canning class. I run those through Airbnb, so usually people will come from out of town. So one of my canning class students was from Seattle, and she was a Comic-Con judge for the costume contest.
Yeah.
And so then I found her on Instagram, and she makes all these wonderful costumes, and she travels around to Comic-Con, but her whole thing is to make costumes on a budget. So she'll buy a bed sheet for $1 at a garage sale and make it into this like beautiful gown with all the lyrics or the different things handwritten on the inside. She really puts a lot of thought and effort and time into it. And I just think it's this really cool self-expression thing that I appreciate, and I get it. I walk into it and I see the people and I'm excited and they're excited, and it's just very fun.
Yeah.
I also got to hang out with Beetlejuice in a couple of different...
That's right. Yeah. So back in LA, I skipped over this, but we went to Beetle House, which is a Beetlejuice themed bar, which I really say is more of a horror themed bar, but they do have the horror house, I guess is what we'll call it, from the movie kind of set up so you get your pictures taken. But they have Chucky go through and Leatherface went through, you get your pictures taken or whatever, and he comes out and hosts it as the ghost with the most. But then we ran into Beetlejuice at Comic-Con because Adeline's a fan also. So she got to have her picture taken with Beetlejuice, and he did the voice and everything. It's very cute.
Yeah, which, I mean, how fun, you know?
Yeah.
Double Beetlejuice in 2 different cities. I've been Beetlejuice around the globe.
Yeah. And also, while we're talking about both our daughter and women's bodies, she had a friend over today, and they were playing Minecraft right by our TV. We have a lot of art that celebrates women's bodies and how every body's great. And her friend was looking at this picture, and it's like, I don't know, 20 different sets of breasts where they're all different sizes and shapes. And she's like, is that one boob like a meatball or something like that? And without missing a beat, Adeline goes, no, everybody's beautiful. And I was just like, oh, we did it. Thank goodness.
Love her. Yeah, that poster actually is by Brooke Weber. She was also a guest on your show.
Oh, that's right. Brooke Weber was a guest.
She painted those beautiful breasts that hang in our living room.
That's right.
And our daughter, one person at a time, can teach people to love everybody.
Love everybody. Yeah. Brooke is from the Shoot to Kill episode, if you want to go back and listen to that and learn about cat holes, I think is what she said.
Cat holing, yeah.
Yeah.
Burying your...
Don't give it away. Let's get them to listen. Got to get those numbers up, Sarah. Awesome. Any more thoughts for Comic-Con?
No, I don't think so. I think, we decided that we want to go every year.
We're going every year. Every year.
We're going to do it. We're in.
Buy and then everyone $6 stickers.
Yeah. And then we also found out that there's a costume contest and a kids costume contest. So I think we're going to involve Grandma in making Adeline a costume for next year. So I'm excited. I love that kind of life. Yeah. I'd way rather go to Comic-Con and make Adeline a cool outfit than, go to a soccer game.
Same.
So I'm excited. I like this chapter. It's feeling pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. Well, wonderful. That just brings us to what we've seen lately. And I thought we'd start with television because we've been watching Riverdale.
Oh my gosh, gosh, we are stuck in like a Riverdale time warp.
It's not ending.
It's never ending. A season has 22 episodes.
They're an hour long each.
And they're so long. And I mean, most seasons have like 6, maybe 8. And I liked Riverdale when it first started. I thought it was fun. There was cool costumes. It has become obscene. Like, too much singing.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, they introduced a musical episode.
Yes, one.
And I was like,
episode.
hey,
One
I can let this go. I'll answer emails. Enjoy your show.
Well, and I mean, I think we've talked about it, but Dirk hates musicals, like hard.
That's
hates
right.
musicals.
And ever since then, they've been just dropping songs in episodes. Like, we said it was okay, and it's like, no, we said one time. We didn't say all the time. It's like our daughter being like, oh, can I eat candy right now? And like, no. And like, you let me eat candy before? And I'm like, yeah, it's not an all the time thing.
Yeah, well, it is now. And I keep thinking we're going to be done.
I thought we were going to finish it last night, and somehow there's still more.
There's still more. So we're stuck in it. I did Witches. I always love Witches. So they brought, Sabrina in for a couple episodes. And so that was fun until they started singing. Was like, to me, it makes me feel like I'm watching like High School Musical, which I don't want to watch.
No.
That's not my jam. I'm not into it. So I've had a hard time with this, but I also am a finisher.
Sure.
So
yeah, we're going to finish it.
we're finishing it. And we're close, Dirk. We're so close.
I know. Okay. Well, hopefully we've inspired you not to.
And I will be very clear, I am not recommending this to anybody.
Right.
You do not have to do what we are doing. And maybe you already have. And if you have, good job finishing it.
Yeah, but also, could you tell anybody what's happened this season, aside from Sabrina coming back? If someone was like, what happens in the first 10 episodes of season 6? It seems like nothing happens.
Oh, you just stop paying attention.
Okay. Yeah,
Too
you know
much
what?
happens is the problem.
Don't answer
so
it,
much
then.
happens.
Don't answer
I don't
it.
want to say it. I don't know. Nobody needs it.
No. Yeah. Okay, moving on. We also watched Orphan First Kill, which is a sequel to the movie Orphan.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
So why it's not Orphan 2, I don't know. Orphan First Kill sounds like it's the first one. But anyway, if you're interested in seeing it, you've probably already seen it. But I would say that if this was made right after the first one, we'd have like 20 of these. Like, she would have fought Chucky or something by now.
Oh, that would be fun.
I would love that. Maybe cross over and fight like Sadako or somebody from the Ju-on and the Ring and stuff. But that didn't happen. As a standalone movie, like, you don't really have to watch the first one to watch the second one. The only downside, I think, is how it looks. They have like an Instagram kind of filter type of thing on it. It just, I don't know. The look of it is not my favorite. What is my favorite is every actor in this movie. They're all great. Julia Stiles is back and she's a mom now. The script is way better than it has any right to be. I won't give away anything in case you haven't seen it, but there's some, I wouldn't say twists, but some plot points, some ways that they give characters motivation, which is genius. I love it, and it makes it super fun and satisfying. I remember the kills, which for any horror movie, like if that happens, I'm like, good for you, because you remembered why we're all here in the first place. So yeah, Orphan First Kill. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's better than a lot of stuff,
Yeah, I had a good time with it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
It was very fun. Would recommend it. Hate Digital Fire. Just gonna put that out there.
Seriously, we don't need it.
We don't need it.
You're already on a roof.
Yeah, just be on a roof. Being on a roof is cool and scary and weird, and people fall from it. There doesn't also have to be fire.
No, there really doesn't. It's so useless.
But great movie. Watch it.
Yep, agree. Support those people. And then the last movie is Beast, which is a lion movie. We all knew I was going to watch it the second they made a lion movie.
Because you love when things eat people.
Oh, I love it so much.
It's your favorite.
And it's not an alligator or crocodile, which I'd probably put at the top, but a lion's all right. And I will say, if you're weary of this film because you're like, CG lion, it's cool. They gave it like cool characteristics. I think the effects look fine. It is a CG lion, but they give it personality. It's not just, there's a lot of money in this too. You have
he's a real jerk.
Yep, he is.
He's very evil.
But he's also after bad people. He's killing a lot of people because he's a lion. He doesn't got a lot of logic. So he's just intermittently killing everyone because he thinks that they killed his pride.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the way they use that in the script is very smart. Idris Elba and all the actors are very, very good. The script has emotional weight but keeps it moving, so there's not a lot of lulls. But the star for this is the cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
This movie unnecessarily has some amazing cinematography, and the reason is it's Philippe Rousselet, who did Big Fish, A River Runs Through It, Interview with a Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fluidity of camera work, and he's also working in tandem with Balthazar Brecki, who did Noah and Oblivion, I believe from a special effects standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
probably because of the lion situation. But one example I have, just when you're watching this, there's a part where they get out of a car and they're going into Charlita Copley's house, and it's one shot as the family goes into different rooms, and the camera follows them around. It's in front of them, it's behind them. I watched it a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I made you watch it because I was like, look at this.
I never mind because you're so excited. You're like,
I
okay,
get so excited.
and you showed me something that I, of course, didn't notice.
Right.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
shouldn't, I don't think.
yeah, there's some people walking into a house.
That's all it is,
That's
yeah.
all I see. But then you give me pause into, no, you're not noticing
How they frame this whole
how
situation.
this was one perfect shot.
And
to
it's a
to
throwaway
make
scene. It's not
you
even important.
experience them entering this house. And you really do. I mean,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, they're entering the house. But when you have me pause and give notice, then it makes me appreciate that people are making this movie.
Yeah.
And people are spending their time and their focus and their energy to make it the most perfect thing. And they do it. They
Mhm.
nail it. And in that one scene, you noticing that they nailed it is special.
Yeah.
You know, it really gives praise to the people that put their life into making this movie. So I always appreciate when you do that. So I don't mind when we watch it a few times, you know?
I think part of it also is we had just returned from LA, which was 100 and some odd degrees, and they're shooting this in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept thinking how hot it's got to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
And so everything I could appreciate for them, I was like, thank you for making this movie.
Yeah.
You obviously all put a lot of effort into it, and I think that it shows far beyond someone just saying it's another thing eating someone movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is, but it's really well done, and I love all the effort put on that for even the blandness of the title, Beast. It's just like, I would call it something else, but even then, I don't know. I guess you could just call it Lion or something.
Yeah, I mean, it tells you what it is.
I guess
like,
so.
I
It's like
think.
Jaws. They
Yeah.
could have called it Claws. I
Yeah.
don't know.
If
But then
they
it sounds
could
like a
have.
Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It's tricky. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Beast. Any other topics you'd like to throw out there while we're hanging out here?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we covered it. We did a lot of really great things.
A lot of great stuff.
We're riding this high of fun.
So high.
So I'm into it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for carving out some time. We've been very busy with work, so I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having us sit together and chat, even though we do that all the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's nice to stop and not be working and do it.
You know we do this a lot when we're hot tubbing, but it's just good to take, what is it? Just take notice, be aware of the good things that happen, because with a kid, time goes very fast. With a job, time goes very fast. With all these moving pieces, it's easy to get wrapped up in the stress of life, and it's sometimes hard to take a moment and just be like, we are so lucky that we went to this amazing wedding that was so beautiful. We're so lucky that we got to meet Sarah's family and everything, that you got to be inches away from Trent Reznor. Pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah, forgot to mention we went up to the very front
Right in the
row,
front,
'cause
yeah.
why wouldn't you?
Just screaming lyrics at him.
Yeah.
I love all of that. And so I just wanted to have a little episode where we just put all the good vibes out there and just be like, hey, there's some good stuff. So if you're feeling down, reach out to someone that you care about. Time moves fast. It's good that we can all be here together.
Yeah, I think it's what we need in
Yeah.
this time as we're still in this pandemic restructuring and figuring out how to deal with that. But I think the key piece is for us to all connect with each other.
Yep.
We need that to survive.
Yeah.
We need each other. We need personal connection. We need personal relationships. And those have to be repaired. And this is an important way to do it, is to go out and experience things with even people that you don't know. You can go do those things solo, but you can still connect with someone at a concert or at a wedding or at a convention. And it really does help our brains to restructure themselves and
Yeah.
for us to experience joy and to be elated with how we're feeling. And I think it's heightened since we haven't been able to experience that. So I think we are realizing that that's what we need to do. And I encourage other people to do it as well, because I think it's something we all need to be supporting each other to get through this next phase.
Yeah. And lastly, I'll say just on that, find time, carve out a moment where you can let somebody know that you appreciate whatever it is that you're appreciating. I reached out to the chef at Kin Restaurant to say just what a special evening we had and just acknowledge that there's a purslane ice cream thing that they do with these heirloom
Mm-hmm.
tomatoes and smoked trout roe. Unbelievable. Never had anything like that. And that kind of experience, when you're in a restaurant, time can slow and you just are tasting something you've never really had before, and you can appreciate that on such a grand scale. But that person doesn't know. They're just at work. It's good to take a moment, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a book you got at Comic-Con, whatever it is, just reach out to the person. Even if you think they're not going to read it, it doesn't matter. Just put it out there, because only good can come from just acknowledging that.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you all for listening. I really appreciate you, and we'll be back next week with a new episode of VHS.
Bye.